Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show for artists, creators, creative entrepreneurs to have heartfelt conversations about living a creative life and a career. As you go into this show, hear your favorite creators talk about money, mindset, business, creativity, and everything else that goes behind into making a life that we all adore as an artist. Hear the messy and the wonderful side of being a creative. I am your host, Charuka Arora, an artist, creator, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you for joining me here. Let's jump right in. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. This is your host, Charuka, and welcome back to the season 2 of the podcast. Anyone who's joining us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us in today's episode. And if you're a regular listener, a big thank you for tuning back in again. Today, I have a very special artist based out of Mumbai, India. And I'm so excited to catch up with her because I've known about her work for a while. I've seen her on Instagram. There's so much that she's been doing, and it's been quite of an impromptu coordination. But I'm so glad that we've had this chance to record this podcast. So without delay, I want to introduce you to Al-Qawi. Welcome to the podcast, Al-Qawi.
Hi, Charka. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really
Thank
excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Alkavi, I know a little bit. This is completely, we've not spoken a lot about before this. So, this is a completely organic conversation. With this recording, it's not only we're sharing this with the listeners and everyone who's listening, but I'm also going to know a lot more about you for the first time. I know that you do quite a few things. I know about your work. I also know you run young artist support. Is that what it is, right? So you run also a platform,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So before we get into the episode, would you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. So, I'm Al-Qawi Ninawati. I'm an artist based in Mumbai, India. And I did my BFA from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago a couple of years ago. And yeah, I run Young Art Support with two other artists, Abhishek Narayan Verma and Ekta Singha. And yeah, my work is mainly printmaking, textiles, painting, drawing, a lot of different kinds of media that come together to finally make the work.
So Alkavi, where let's start with from the start. Like let's go back. Did you grow up in Mumbai?
Yes, I
So were you
work.
like always like an artsy kid or like a creative kid? Did you think you always wanted to become an artist or like this happened?
I think I always loved art, but the concept of becoming an artist never really was there around me that much. It was just
Okay.
like, yeah, you like art, so maybe you think of like architecture or some other sort of form of where you could channel your creativity, but never thought
Yeah.
of fine art being a career choice until a lot later.
But you also grew up in Mumbai, which is like a city that really homes a lot of creativity, a lot of creative professions, and um, like Bollywood is there. But apart from Bollywood, also a lot of art is there. Architecture is there. Did you grow up around like art influences otherwise or not?
So yeah, to an extent, like we did, we would visit like few galleries. We would visit Jahangir Art Gallery or the National Museum, or like the Prince of Wales Museum. Like we would visit a few places, but we never really, growing up, I never really saw contemporary art because I think no one from my family was really inclined
Okay.
towards it. So it was just like we just like whatever school took us to, I would go to that, or then if I would read something in the paper because I still read the newspaper all the time, but just like to get general information. But yeah, so it was,
Oh
and like
wow.
yeah, movies and music and everything was always there, but it never really. I was never. I didn't know much, so it was just like just seeing whatever you get to see, and whatever chance encounters would happen.
When did you first like encounter with art as something that you wanted to pursue started or happen?
So I think, yeah, I think when I was in eighth or ninth grade, people used to make me make all their art projects before the teacher came. And then I realized, oh, maybe this is actually some, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't like people were like, oh, please, please. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It's more fun than doing anything else. And I would sit in class and I'd be drawing all day. And my teachers would look and they'd yell for like the first 6 months. And then after that, they also gave up. So turned out to be like, okay, maybe it's like something I'm good at. That's why the teachers also not yelling at me for doing it. I don't know. So yeah, it was just that. Like I would just draw all day, and I would try to make sure I got work around the art room so I could just sit in like the art teacher's area and just keep working there. And I think eventually till like, because I was in the same school till 12th standard, so they kind of realized what this person, the student, is doing,
Yes.
and then everyone just accepted it. Now they would just be like, where is she? She's in the art room.
Oh
So
wow. But did you at that point, I feel like because I had quite a similar story because I was like I would spend hours in the room. I would not go anywhere. My mom would get fed up and whenever she would enter back in my room there was glitter all over. Always. Always. Like I had this cupboard which would fill with glitters and crafts and like papers and I would like she was like she at some point she would hide like trash from me because she was like if she's going to throw something out I will still pick something out of it and she would always be like you just I would spend hours but then at that point also I felt like it felt something as a natural instinct also I think patriarchally like women are meant to create like you do craft and like art and all of that while we grow up while mm, boys play sports and all of that. So I always felt like I always knew I was creative. I was always creating, but I never ever thought that this was something that A was unique for me. Like I had it and probably this was something special and that this could really be something like a skill that could make me like a professional or help me make a living or that I could pursue seriously. Did you think that?
so honestly, like, so the only two things I actually really liked was sports and art. So,
Oh,
and like,
so you were in both the
yeah,
categories.
no, but I was never very good at sports. I just really enjoyed it. Still enjoy like table tennis, throw ball, and so yeah. I mean, it was always, and for me, I mean, my house, like, because both my families like generationally lived in Bombay.
Yeah.
So like the grandparents, great grandparents, like Bombay. So it was never in that sense like my family had a very equal dynamic since that women also always worked and men also always worked. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
was that,
That is a
yeah. So,
metropolitan.
yeah, so I think that that's a very metropolitan thing. And so when it came to like career or choosing or anything, it was again very like, what are you thinking of? Which was, I realized, a very lucky thing to
Yeah.
have, and very
Yeah.
grateful to have that because, yeah, I was going thinking of architecture for the longest time. And till I was like in the 12th grade. And then when it came to applying to colleges, that's when I realized I did not want to do architecture. And I did not, did not want to build things. Just wanted to make art. And to be very honest, I didn't know anything. I didn't, obviously, I didn't know anything except for watercolor painting properly. Like watercolor painting and
Yeah.
drawing. That's it.
Yeah.
And
That's how we were also given in school, like
yeah,
basic
yeah, it was very
lessons and
basic.
everything.
And but it was like, then my, like when I spoke to my family, but they were like, will you be able to commit to that, and will you do it properly? So whatever you do, you
Yeah.
should do it well. So I was like, I'll try. And they're like, okay, that's good. So, yeah, that's So I'm still trying only.
We're always trying. We're always trying. But tell me something. You came from like a family where women and men both were working. Now, so that you were still one step further from a lot of women in India, let's say. But also that came from a flip side that the practical side of things was still a question, and it's a question in both the cases. Like, um, committing is one, but a very common and very primary question is that how will you make a living out of this? Because that still remains a concern for a lot of people. Did your parents had that concern that if you're going this path, it may not be the most stable, not most as a path for financial independence?
Yeah, so actually, so not only did I want to do fine art, I also want to teach.
Okay.
And I have been, ever since I graduated from college, I've been teaching. So this is the
Okay.
first year that I've taken, actually, it's first month I've taken a break from that.
Oh wow,
From
congratulations.
2017. Thank you.
How is it? How does it feel?
It's been fun. But yeah, so teaching has been a really great balance financially also, and also because I really enjoy teaching. I all ages, all groups of people, like because I personally in my practice use a lot of mediums like
Yeah.
printmaking. So it's like screen printing is also there, and then there's relief printing is also there, but there's also watercolor painting and gold leafing and embroidery and stitching and this and that. So I feel like if I don't keep, teaching and experimenting with my students, I
Yeah.
don't myself, I don't grow. So
Okay.
that's why, like, forever and ever, I've loved teaching, and
Lovely. So
so
that was
that's why,
something
like,
that you were very clear.
yeah, it was like I wanted to make art and teach, and
Okay.
that's just the journey. Like, I think that, and it's also like it's a balancing act. I feel if you understand, like, there are some
Yeah.
basic needs, and then there are needs above and beyond. Then
Yes.
if there are
Yes.
certain things that you don't require, then
Yeah.
there's a journey, right? You have to understand, like, if I don't need these things, then I it's just a want, and how happy am I going to be with either of those?
Yeah. That's true. So when you decided you wanted to do arts, what happened next? How can you take us through what followed then?
Yeah, I went to college and thought I'd want to become a pure painter, and really hated oil paint. Like I was for the first year, I was like, I'm gonna become this like dreamy. Every art student has this like, I'm gonna sit in like this place and
Yeah.
paint the ocean, and I just really, really did not like painting, and anything except
Oh
for
wow.
watercolor, I still don't really like. I don't like canvases much, and I
I can
really
hear
like.
that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just it just
I
never.
love the
I tried
organicness
it
of
for a year.
watercolors.
Yeah, and a lot of people like. I think a lot of people would be listening also. Maybe if you've tried watercolors, they would think like some people really don't like watercolor, and that's why I love teaching
Yeah.
watercolor painting, because I feel like
Yeah.
if you have like a really good paper, and if you have like even if you have decent paints, it's fine, but if you have really good paper, a lot of people start liking watercolor once they know like your paper's not gonna tear. So then, like, that's the
Yeah,
whole,
that's true.
like,
That's true.
a lot of people have taught watercolor too. This is like the biggest like break, like the turning point. Oh my god, my paper's not gonna tear. Like, yes,
They
here
found
you
like a
go.
magic solution.
Yeah, I was just like, yo, now start loving watercolor.
So you did your graduation from Chicago School of Art, I think, right?
Yeah,
How was your
yeah, yeah. The
experience
school.
there studying art?
it was really good. Like, because as a person who literally only knew watercolor, I went there and I got to learn, like, from everything in printmaking to like analog photography to like ceramics, glass blowing and glass sculptures, and um, it was like you could explore whatever medium you wanted to,
You like.
and
Yeah.
you could truly like invest your time in that. So it was like, from book making to paper making, everything is open, and you just get to like throw yourself into it. And as a student, like, you're allowed to make mistakes in that work. You're allowed to make mistakes
Yeah.
anytime in your life, but like as a student,
Yeah.
you could just do it and no one cares.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh.
it was really fun and engaging as well.
Alkivi, can you talk a little bit about your work? I know your work is surrounds spirituality, loss of your mother. Can you take us through about what goes into your work and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think a couple of years ago, and throughout life, I've been quite a spiritual person, and praying, meditating, going to the mosque have been a part of my life ever through, like, since my childhood. And my family has also been with me through all of that, and through them I learn, and it goes on. But so yeah, there's a body of work that I was thinking of and making. It's called Bandagi, and it's like prayers or ibadat, and it has this like notion of like praying in like a circular, like 33 times, 11 times, 99 times, in like a whole circle, like a prayer beads, the tasbih, or like a rosary. So all these works were like one cycle of these prayer beads. So some of them would be made in either 11 layers, or they would be made in 33 layers, or something would be written 99 times, or the work itself would have like 99 pieces to it. So it was like a physical, like putting together of these prayers or these words and beads and such. And then after like this work was happening, there was this one body of work called 33 days of ibadat, or 33 days of prayer, in which I would wake up at 4 in the morning, which is the time of like bandagi or prayer. And I would meditate, and then I would start this painting, which would have to end by like 11:59 of that same day. I did
Okay.
this for exact 33 days.
Okay.
And my mom passed away on the 34th day.
Oh.
And it was a very difficult experience, because while I was making these works, they had a lot about passing away or acceptance. And because I was talking to my mom about that in general, and
But
I was living in Chicago at that time.
okay.
And so when I was talking to her about it, even so she would tell me things, and then the next day the painting would kind of become about our conversation. And then it was just one of those, like, it was, I would make the work, I would show it to her. She would tell me, oh, this looks like this, because there were all these abstract watercolor paintings.
Okay.
And so she would tell me, oh, this kind of feels like, these, when you die, you go up from somewhere. So it's like you're flowing upwards in a downward stream. Certain like
Hmm.
things she would put in, like, she would have these comments. And then, so it was like just one thing we would share in a couple of, messages or calls. And so
So
yeah, so and then
sorry, this project when you started, did you have like how did this project started? Like, um, was it just something that you were experimenting with, or there was some grief or something that triggered this thought, and then this panned out?
yeah, so actually, my mom's younger brother passed away a few months before she did.
Oh,
And
I'm so
so,
sorry.
it's okay, this is in 2018. And because I was also very close to him, and he was a very fun loving, happy person, and it was so sudden to lose him. So it took months to even think of a process that kind of um, loss. And when I spoke to my mom about that and him, and then it became more about loss and losing people in general, and the idea of loss on a larger realm, and what it means to lose, and what it means for the person who's gone.
Yeah.
So then
And
that's
I
how
think
this
when you're
like
even talking
started.
about it, when you're also even talking about it, it feels like these works are not only an expression of yours, but also an expression of your mom. Because this loss was not only yours, it was also a loss of her. And then, like you're saying, that all all these days you were having a conversation with her, and it feels like her and your thoughts were coming together, and then you were making those works.
For sure, for sure. There was That's why like I have these like all of them just like kept in one like box in my house. So all the works have just been with me because I think that was like the last time I had a sort of collaboration in true spirit with
Yeah.
you know.
Another project that you've done is a letter to your mother. Do you want to talk about that? Which is one something that I really really liked about your work. I mean, I felt very very close to them because I feel like I lost my mom very suddenly to COVID last year, and since then I think I don't know if there is a way to process grief. I don't know if there is one way to process grief. I don't think there's only a forward way. There are two steps forward, or 10 steps backward, and everything. But I think this is something probably I will have to keep working on it every day of my life. Um, I really like that project because I could resonate ever since I love journaling. I've been journaling for a very long time. But I saw a major shift in the way I approached my journal and writing letters after my mom, because I just felt like I still feel like every day when I pick up my journal, I feel like I'm talking to my mom. And that's also how I address. I In the beginning, before this, I would never address to her, but now my journal has not become a journal, but it's also become like a it's become I begin with writing to her. I begin that this is to her. I feel like I'm talking to her. I really want to talk about this project of yours because I feel very close to it, and I want to listen what it is about and what your thoughts are.
Yes, I think these letters to my mom started actually on my flight back to uh, my mom's funeral. I um, started writing to her on my phone, in a book. I just would write to her every day, and it was just about like these unfinished conversations, memories, things I thought I would forget, everything. So now, I mean, it's been almost 4 years. I still write to her. So
Yeah.
it's like a never-ending process, I think. But so a lot of these works became. So I think my practice and I only became this like
Mm.
way to keep her alive. I find
Yeah.
different ways to keep her alive for
Yeah.
and for myself, for anyone who wants to keep her alive. And it became more about uh, thinking of different ways or different types of ideas to how can what would she like or what would she think of certain things. So I would like write it down, thinking like I think maybe she would like I think maybe you would like these things. So yeah. Or like, and it's a very I have like these books and journals and like sketchbooks, having conversations with her or drawing things that she would like, or different kind of ways to keep a person alive. And it's almost like yeah, and that's why the works become very, sometimes there is like these letters that have been written, so many letters have been written. It's like tearing those up and making them into pulp, and then just having them, like having her threads only bind those, or her
Yeah.
clothes are binding those letters, to just have like a tangible form of
Yeah.
a person. You just have the
Yeah.
person come in different forms for some reason. Because I think till you keep the person in your memory, and until the person is, you keep remembering them, they're still there in some
Yeah.
form.
Yeah. And I also feel like this is something I feel very, very, very strongly. I feel like as artists, we are so lucky because at least I can vouch for myself. I don't know how it works for someone else. Um, Sometimes grief gets so hard and so heavy, and because art is also an expression, art is expression, and we as artists have been practicing this every day of like every day we've been an artist, whatever that time is. I felt like that helped me so much more, um, to channel my grief, what was happening, what I was going through, um, into my work, because it just gave me a place where I could constructively. I know ever since she went away, my work has become so much more about her, because I don't know, I think it's also an attempt to keep her close to me, and I think there's nothing more close to my art to me, and more personal, and
Yeah.
also a way to connect, a way to a relationship, because I feel like with people your relationship is like just two-way, like it's between you and them. And I felt like i feel very I feel very grateful that I have something that I've been able to, or I'm trying to every day, to reconnect with her and create that space, even if it's via art. But I don't know how that works for anyone else, but I feel like as creators we are very grateful to have had the means to express ourselves into a place like that.
For sure. I think it's definitely good to be able to. So for me, I mean, I think I just never thought of it. I just never thought of why or how or what I make, and it's just like it's happening. It's being made, and you're doing that. That's why I think I'm never. Once the work is made, I'm also not very married to it. It's like very few
Okay.
works that I'm okay with, like giving them away, selling them, whatever it is. It's like once that moment or that emotion has been expressed, I think I'm okay, because it's then there with it. Like
Yeah.
it's there, like it's done. It's the memory has been expressed and it
Yeah.
exists now in the world to see. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the other things. Like I'm not very good at keeping like certain like things. Like I think they just I can it's made and then it's done. So it's like no
Yeah.
more.
But
What
also, yeah, you're right. You're right, because we have these thoughts a lot of times, even especially with journaling, writing. There's so many thoughts that go in our mind, but when once you put it down on paper, when you draw it out, or whatever way that you express, it's gone. It's no longer like gone, in the sense that that heaviness, it helps you relieve that heaviness, and it lets you go out in the it helps you let that thought go out in the world, where whatever
yeah.
that is. Okay.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit, like, how did these work start? Like, did you? I know that, like, I read about it where you developed like this language, which was of your own. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I mean, what happened was actually after my mom passed away, I genuinely did not make art for a very long time. I would not journal. I would not. I was never into journaling. It never happened. Like I would not actively draw sketch every day. It would be like, yeah, I would draw sketch at like many days of the week, but it was never in one place. It was not in a book, or it was just like draw sketch and put the paper away somewhere. No, very disorganized. But it was, yeah, I think when my mom passed away after that, for many months, I didn't really want to do anything. came back to India. I just moved back to India permanently, and I started. I was working for a couple of months at Space 118 in Bombay. It was a residency in Mumbai, and after that, I I think after a couple of months, almost a good year after my mom, I started working on these letters, and about like a few months before a year. So 9, 10 months after mom passed away, I started working on these letters that I was writing to her. I started painting them. So I think I went back to watercolor as like a medium of comfort to start painting and drawing these out. And these were genuinely the script started. It was very, you could recognize it, you would know what I was saying. And that was something I did not
Yeah.
in my
Want,
previous
of
works
course.
also want that I would never would want people to know what I'm saying. Not because I'm
Absolutely.
saying anything important. It was just something like I was like, it was between me and my mother. And it became
Absolutely.
like this thing where it was like, it was, and it was genuinely not, the conversations were never like, I was never saying anything profound or intellectual. It was just general conversations. And so these
Yeah.
conversations helped me to a certain extent. And it just, I started making them, and they then brought me back to making art, because for that very long time that I was not making art, it became,
Yeah.
thoughts just kept spiraling. And then when I did
Yeah,
start making
absolutely.
work, it became, all the work became about her. And then I started using her clothes within the work, and started using her things within my work. And like, because stuff like crochet or embroidery and things like that were things that
Yeah.
she taught me. Like, being a lawyer
Yeah.
herself, she was also very
Oh,
interested.
wow.
Otherwise, like, and she would also, like, she would crochet and knit, and embroider and this and that, and all of these things she taught me as well. And so they, when they come into my work, it becomes a lot like to do with her. Like, it's like bringing her
Yeah.
physical presence into these works, which, so initially the paintings don't have like her physically in them, but then a lot of the
Yeah.
textile works, some of the prints made from textiles are also like from her clothes. So certain things like that, and help me
I love this.
to
I
come
can
back
really
to.
resonate this. I can really resonate with this because I feel exactly the same. I spent so much time with my mom. My mom was like a big time fashion enthusiast. Like she was so obsessed with clothes and like I remember like while growing up, Agra was also very culturally rich in the sense of art, like craft, embroideries and architecture and all of that. And we would go into alleys and like thrift materials and fabrics, and she was so obsessed. And then we would go to tailors and pieces thing together. And now I've brought back embroideries and embellishments and patterns, and like she was obsessed with these prints and these Indian prints. And some way I feel like every time I feel very, very more like even more convictionally, because as artists, like people always think, I before at least I used to think about like, oh, if should I do this or not. But today I'm only driven by that memory. Like I want to revisit that time. I want to relive. And I feel like every time like I'm doing something, I feel like, oh yes, I mean I'm reliving that idea, reliving that moment, and also kind of taking forward her legacy. I feel that is very important to me. I feel like what she believed in, mm, who she stood for, in whatever way I can, but I still want to I want to let that keep, like it should keep going. And I feel like in some way within my own work, I want to I keep that thought in my mind that I want to keep doing this because I love it, but also because I want to keep her legacy forward.
Well, sure, I think that is definitely, like, I feel the same. And I think it would be nice if after me also people knew my
Yeah,
mother. And
yeah,
I
I
feel
absolutely.
just that, and not for anything, even just because you love the person, so you feel you
Yes,
want,
that's true.
and you want them to be uh,
Mhm.
present.
Absolutely. Yes. And we're always like, we all will eventually, we all will become stories. Just someone, we always like, I think I think we are fortunate to have the pleasure to be a part of their story and to just hold on to that till we are here.
Yeah, definitely. I think,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Actually, tell me something. Do you want to talk about what you do? I know we've already spoken a lot about this, like about a couple of things. So before we go into the rapid fire, I just want to ask you one more question, which is, what is young artist support?
art support.
Young sup-
No,
young
young
art
art
support, and
support.
how did that young art support? What is that? How did that come to life, and what are you doing with that?
So yeah, so young art support actually came to life because I also work with Kapi Arte that runs like workshops
Yeah,
and stuff in different aspects in Bombay and all over India actually. And so they were doing this Carpe Arte support for like artists and selling their artwork during COVID. And so we thought of a lot of students that approached us, and I spoke to them, and they wanted something of that model for even younger artists who would be like just graduating from college or have been like a year out into the world and COVID hit. So Ekta, Abhishek, and I, we started uh, putting open calls out to colleges and trying actively started selling these artworks commission free on the Young Art Support page on Instagram. So that's how it started, and then now we're doing a in-person exhibition called Immerse, curated by Shaleen Vadwana and so, in collaboration with Kapi Arte and supported by Sumaya Trust at Sumaya Vidya Vihar University in Mumbai. It's opening on the
yeah.
19th of March, and it's like an India Art
Oh,
Fair
wow.
parallel event. And yeah, so we're really
Yeah.
excited where this is going, and we're hoping to be able to take it to different cities and have more younger artists join in and have more like collaborative exhibitions, shows, and residencies and talks and stuff like
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alkavi. I really appreciate. Thank you so much. I know this must not have been an easy conversation, and I'm really sorry if at any point I made you uncomfortable, or
that. Not at
I
all.
just, I just, I just want to say a big thank you for opening up, for sharing your work, your thoughts, and who you are. And I'm sure you will only shine brighter from here. So,
Thank you so much.
leaving the seriousness apart, are you ready for the rapid fire?
Yes.
Okay, so let's have some fun. Okay, so you don't you have to be quick. B, there's no right and wrong. Just give me anything that comes to your mind first. Okay, are you ready?
I'm scared.
You're ready. You have to be ready.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. One thing you want to convey through your work in the arts. One thing. Quick.
Oh, shit. Oh my god. One thing I want
Fine.
to convey is like, I think it's, yeah, happiness, but it's loss. I don't know what I want to convey. No.
It can be. Okay, next question. What's that one word that describes you the best?
Hmm. Happy.
If you could have a studio anywhere in the world, where would it be?
And be at home only.
Home person.
Bombay. Yes.
Bombay. Your biggest source of inspiration.
I think my mother,
Who's your favorite woman artist?
Zarina Hashmi.
Who's your go-to person when you're in trouble or in need of advice?
My aunt, Nilofer. My mom's sister.
Oh wow. Like a Masi.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is a little more than one word. Can you, I'm sure there must have been many, but can you recall of one moment, just one moment where you felt grateful to be an artist, be a theater, and can you just share that moment with us?
I think it was when my father actually first saw my artwork. And so it was the first show he attended. It was in Bombay only. It wasn't. It was like this open studio at the Space 118 Studios, and actually all my family came, and especially because my
Oh
father was
wow.
there. It was very nice because it was the first time he was able to attend like a show
In
kind of thing,
person,
and
yeah.
in person see the work put up. Yeah, so I was very
Oh wow.
grateful for that. And
Lovely. Okay. If you were to meet younger Alkavi today, what advice would you give her?
tell her to chill out and have some fun in college and stop studying so much.
Best advice. I think
Yeah.
we should give that advice to ourselves from any, like, just have, I mean, life is too short
Stop taking
to,
yourself so seriously.
so seriously. I'm also trying very hard on that. I'm going to take that advice from you now. Shout out to an artist you're especially loving on social media right now.
uh, there's so many artists. I have to only choose one.
Go for so many. No,
So
no.
many.
Go.
Yeah,
We love the
no.
love.
Yeah, I love Ashima Raisata. I love Shivangi Dada. Obviously, I love
Yes.
Cheetna. I love Noor. So many other artists. One artist, Dhruvi Acharya, but everyone loves Dhruvi Acharya.
Absolutely.
And yeah, Vinita Mungi. She has a show right now. And Sabiha Dohatwala. And so many more. I will
So
not
I'm
stop.
going to anyone who's listening, you can find all these artists Alkavi has mentioned in the show notes, and any other link that we've had in this conversation will be in the show notes, including Alkavi's work, all her links and everything. My last question. As a woman artist, what is that one advice that you would like to give people coming behind you?
Mm, I think it's just be confident about your work and be open to conversation.
Love that. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank you
so
for
much for
this.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely conversation. And I only wish you the best. And I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you. Good
Perfect.
day.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.arts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.